Hello again, everybody. This is John and Glenn with BestPriceNutrition.com. Today we're going to talk to you guys about CLA, or conjugated linoleic acid. It was recently talked about on the Dr. Oz show, which means that we get a lot of questions about it. Those of you who follow supplements have known it's been around for quite a while. The main purpose is to help with burning body fat. So we're going to cover, what it is, what it does, and so on and so forth. Specifically, what it is, it's actually a natural trans fat. And it's unique because it's a cis and trans fat, and that just refers to the chemistry of it, where the double bonds are on the actual fat. And there's two types of CLA. You're going to have biohydrogenated, which is going to come from like ruminant animals such as cows, where bacteria in their gut actually break down the fat and make it in this natural form of CLA. It's a natural trans fat, as we said, and it's partially hydrogenated. And then you're going to have the synthetic hydrogenated vegetable oils, which is also going to be a source of CLA. And that's commonly what you're going to find in supplements. Specifically, you're going to find that there's two isomers of it. Now, there's over 28 isomers of CLA, and the numbers typically indicate where the double bonds are, whether it's the cis or trans. And most of them that have been isolated are going to be the cis 9, trans 11, and trans 10, cis 12. So if you're looking at that, most bottles you're going to look at are going to have those particular isomers in there. And the biggest difference between this and a regular trans fat is because of those cis double bonds, it seems to lower the melting point and is what's responsible for having healthy effects. It seems to have the opposite effect of what trans fats do. So, Glenn, before we get into the, I want to get into the fat burning part, I just wanted to go into the area as far as where you can find it in the diet. We talked about natural sources, dairy, eggs, meats, and it seems to be, it's about 3 to 5 times higher in those animals that are actually fed grass when we're talking about dairy and meat, because it seems to help with the bacteria in the gut of the ruminant animals in terms of producing CLA.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can get it from non-grass-fed meats, but like John said, it's much higher in grass-fed. So if you're looking to get the benefits of it, you'd want to seek out grass-fed meats, unpasteurized dairy. In particular, supplements, it comes from, like John said, the safflower oil, because it's probably much less expensive to get it from there than it is from a grass-fed.
And most of the research actually on the fat-burning effects have been done on those that are from the hydrogenated vegetable oils. And the other thing you consider too when talking about grass-fed meats and grass-fed, where dairy comes from a grass-fed animal, is that the omega-3 to 6 ratio is much different. It's going to be tilted more towards omega-3, toward less omega-6. And that's important because omega-6 fatty acids are pro-inflammatory, except for GLA, gamma-linolenic acid, which we have a separate video on. Because most modern disease is found to be inflammatory by nature. So that's really important. But if you do eat grain-fed meat, we're not here to do a video on that. It's very important to make sure you eat cold water fish and probably supplement omega-3 to balance out that difference. That's really important. So what does it do in terms of burning fat? How does it work?
Well, there's an enzyme in the body called lipoprotein lipase, and what this enzyme is responsible for is when you consume fat, whatever fat that's not burned off as energy or used right away, it generally, some of it gets stored. Well, that enzyme controls that, and what CLA does is it turns off that enzyme, and it inhibits that enzyme from taking the extra fat from your food and shuttling it into cells to be stored as fat. So the idea is it turns off that enzyme, your body doesn't store it as fat, it circulates the bloodstream, and then you're supposed to be burning it off as an energy source.
And that wouldn't be helpful if you just ate a bunch of calories to make up the difference. So that's an important side note too.
Yeah, the diet does play a big importance of that, and so does your activity level. If you just eat something with a lot of fat inside of it, take your CLA and then sit around, like I said, that the fat's going to circulate the bloodstream, but then it's going to go somewhere, so it's just going to be stored as fat because you're not burning it off.
Yeah, and it's not just eating fat, it's eating a lot of carbohydrates or any macronutrients that you eat in excess. Your body's storage mechanism is to store it as fat. So Glenn says your body's just not going to store it because this is going to block that reaction from happening. So let it flow through the bloodstream, be used for energy. And that's ideal. If you just replace that energy by eating a bunch more, well, then it's not going to be as effective. As with most things, it's always going to be much more effective is it's combined with diet and exercise. So that's something to consider. Now, also, the big thing that I've found is that it can help with a lot of research in terms of being a potent cancer fighter. Now, that research is more steered toward the biohydrogenation in ruminants. So that's the natural form that's going to be found in dairy, it's going to be found in eggs and milk, and again, as we talked about, those fed that are grass-fed. It seems to block cancer actually at all 3 stages: initiation, promotion, and metastasis. Most things that have been found to be anti-carcinogenic are only at one step. So there's a lot of research on that. Now, most of that has been done on animals and in vivo, or in vitro, I'm sorry. So that's something to consider as well. Again, most of the human studies have been done on the fat-burning effects and have been done in the supplemental form. We went through, because there's actually a lot of research on it.
Yeah.
It's been found to help with cancer, heart health, obesity, diabetes, and bone health in animals. As we discussed, that's where most of that research is. So, the evidence is hit or miss on the fat. There's some good evidence showing it is, and at a dose of about 3.2 grams, that's about where the baseline is for most of it in terms of how much you take in terms of burning fat.
Yeah, you'll get one study that shows that it does help, and then you get another study that shows that there's very little effect. So it's sort of hit or miss. It's back and forth. So, but in every study though, they did use the 3.2 grams. So in a supplement like this, you'd be taking 3 soft gels per day. That's about 3 grams, 3,000 milligrams, which is fine. To reach that dosage, you take one with breakfast, one with lunch, one with dinner, and you'd reach that.
Sure. And so to sum it up, basically what we're saying is to get the benefits in terms of the health benefits, it seems to be best to get it from dairy, grass-fed meats, eggs. To get the fat-burning benefits, at least those that are purported, again, the evidence is conflicting. There's some that shows that it's beneficial, some that show that it's basically inconclusive. So it kind of depends. It's not an overly expensive product, so if it's something you want to try, it's not some huge investment, if the evidence does tilt your way. That's been done with the hydrogenated vegetable oil source, partially hydrogenated, I should say. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, most of those studies, though, again, it's not something you're going to take and notice effects right away. Most of these studies are done over a prolonged period of time, so
you're not going to feel it. It's
you're not
a
going to feel
stimulant.
something. Yeah,
it's not like caffeine or anything like that. So that's a big thing to consider too. It's not like you take it, and you feel it and you get jazzed up. It's not a stimulant. It doesn't affect your nervous system. So sometimes we'll get calls, hey, I took this, but I didn't feel it. And it's about a protein powder. It's like, well, it's a protein powder. You're not going to feel it. It's a macronutrient. Same here. This is a fat. It's a macronutrient. It doesn't have that kind of effect. So, I guess our take would be there's some promise to it. We'd like to see some more evidence as far as the supplemental form in terms of burning fat. There's some that show that it's good, some that's a little inconclusive. So what do we want to see? More research to demonstrate that. The health benefits are being researched more and more because of the areas that they're in. Cancer, diabetes, things like that. Those areas tend to get a lot of money towards research. Yeah. So we're just only going to see more and more research coming out on that. So that's where it's at right now. So I guess the jury's still out for the most part. It's not an overly expensive investment. If it's something you want to try, there is some evidence there. So if you guys have any questions, please post them in the comment section of the video or the blog. We're happy to answer them. Also check us out at facebook.com/bestpricenutrition. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.